Have you ever felt that unspoken tension in the air when you're around certain people? They never openly admit to having an issue with you. No direct confrontation, no clear words. Yet something about their demeanor betrays it. Their smile might be there, polite and rehearsed, but their eyes tell another story entirely. They study you longer than necessary, like they're running silent calculations in their head, measuring and weighing you, as though they're trying to place you in a box but can't quite find one that fits. It's not outright hostility, but a subtle dissonance that you can't ignore, an energy that says, I see you, and I'm not sure I like what I see. The reason for this often has nothing to do with what you've done, and everything to do with how you carry yourself. When you walk with quiet confidence, when you don't feel the need to follow the unwritten social script that dictates how most people should act, you instantly stand out. And standing out, without even trying, draws attention. Not all of it is positive. Some people become uneasy in your presence, as though your authenticity exposes something in them they'd rather keep hidden. Without saying a word, you become a mirror, reflecting back the compromises they've made just to be accepted. It's not that you're accusing them. It's that your mere existence reminds them of the parts of themselves they've abandoned. This is the paradox of the Sigma male presence. You don't chase recognition, yet it seems to follow you wherever you go. You don't waste words on meaningless chatter, yet when you do speak, people lean in, sensing the weight behind what you say. You're not competing for attention, yet you somehow command it. And for those who build their self-worth on theatrics, constant validation, and being the loudest in the room, your calm and self-contained strength is deeply unsettling. You're proof that significance doesn't require noise. We live in a world where many are addicted to applause, likes, and the comfort of blending into majority. But you, by simply existing as you are, disrupt that pattern. You move through life guided by instinct rather than approval. You trust your own judgment over the crowd's opinion. You notice patterns others miss. And when you speak on them, it's never to gain attention, but because you see things clearly. That level of independence and awareness isn't just rare. It's threatening to those who don't have it. And so, some will quietly resent you. They'll mask it under politeness, disguise it in subtle jabs, or hide it behind forced smiles. But here's the truth. Their reaction has little to do with you, and everything to do with the internal discomfort you awaken in them. Your presence shakes loose the truths they've been avoiding, and that's not a burden you need to carry. You are under no obligation to shrink yourself so that others feel comfortable. You owe no apology for being unapologetically authentic. Keep walking your path. Keep trusting your instincts. Let the uneasy stares and quiet judgments roll off your back. Because they're not signs of your failure, but proof that your very being challenges the shallow norms of the world around you. 1. The art of psychological invisibility. There's a rare breed of individual who can stand right in the middle of a crowded room and yet seem almost untouchable, not in a physical sense, but in a way that shields their emotional core from intrusion. It's not because they're distant, cold, or dismissive. In fact, they can be perfectly cordial when they choose to be. But they possess a rare instinct, the ability to sense exactly when to step forward and engage, and when to vanish quietly into the background, letting the noise of the world pass them by. This is what can only be described as psychological invisibility, and for the Sigma male, it's not just a habit. It's a finely honed skill, worn as naturally as a well-fitted jacket. You don't insert yourself into every conversation just to be seen. You don't scramble for the spotlight or compete for center stage. Instead, you prefer to watch. You take in subtle cues others miss. The nervous tap of foot, the shift in tone, the flicker of doubt in someone's eyes. All the while, you keep your own inner world sealed off, unreadable. This ability to stay silent while the rest of the room chatters unsettles people more than they'll admit. Humans crave patterns and predictability, and when they can't figure you out, when your thoughts and motives remain just out of reach, they grow restless. Most people rely on a set of familiar reactions from others. They provoke, test, and probe, expecting some kind of crack in the armor. But when you don't give them the predictable response, they lose their footing. You might offer a polite nod, a faint smile, but mentally, you're already thinking several moves ahead. And when it becomes clear that their words slide right past you without leaving a dent, that their attempts to rattle you fall flat, it's like they're shouting into a canyon and hearing nothing in return. That silence unnerves them. Example, A co-worker lobs a subtle, passive-aggressive jab across the table, waiting for you to bristle, to snap back, to give them a piece of your mind. Instead, you take a slow, deliberate sip of your coffee, glance briefly in their direction, and carry on with your day. No reaction, no fuel for their fire. To them, it feels like they've lost a battle they didn't even realize was unwinnable. They can't drag you into their emotional quicksand, and that makes them feel powerless. And if there's one thing people can't stand, it's feeling powerless. This isn't about being cold or detached for the sake of it. It's about protecting your inner peace. You've mastered the ability to fade into the backdrop when necessary and to step away from emotional games when someone tries to weaponize feelings. Most people can't even imagine doing that. Rather than learn from your example, they quietly resent you for it. But here's the irony. They don't just resent it. They envy it. They wish they could hold themselves with that kind of self-contained composure. You're not unreachable because you lack emotion. You're unreachable because you understand the value of guarding it. And that's a mastery few will ever achieve. 2, you don't give them the emotional feedback they crave. The average person drifts through life fishing for constant little doses of validation. An approving smile, a laugh at their story, a quick "you're right" to affirm their opinion. They seek these micro rewards like oxygen, often without realizing it. But when they interact with you, something feels off. Not hostile, not dismissive, just different. You listen intently, you pay attention, but you don't perform. You don't jump to deliver the reaction they're hoping for. And that subtle refusal unsettles them far more than they'd ever confess. Example, someone spins a story for you, expecting a burst of laughter, a dramatic facial reaction, or some validating remark. Maybe they even embellish parts of it just to draw you in. But you don't bite. You remain composed, perhaps a faint nod, a small smile, or no reaction at all. Suddenly, they're not just wondering if their story landed. They're questioning themselves. Or picture a meeting at work. A colleague enthusiastically pitches an idea, scanning the room for nods and quick praise. Most people chime in with automatic agreement, if only to keep things smooth. But you remain neutral, neither tear it down nor hyping it up. Calm, still, unmoved. In their head, the question starts spinning. Was it a bad idea? Does he think I'm incompetent? Why didn't he respond like everyone else? Here's the truth. They're not just reacting to your lack of praise. They're reacting to the absence of an emotional hit. Most people are conditioned to get a little rush from validation, and when you don't hand it out freely, they feel the void. That void can feel like rejection, even when it isn't. Your stillness becomes misread as judgment. Your neutrality gets mistaken for disapproval. But the reality is simpler. You refuse to hand out reactions like free samples. If you're genuinely impressed, you'll say so. If something truly amuses you, you'll laugh. But you won't fake a reaction just to fill a silence or stroke an ego. And that quiet refusal to give them what they're unconsciously addicted to, it drives them up the wall. Because without your validation to lean on, they're forced to face their own insecurities. And most people would rather keep running from those. 3, you can't be used, and they've tried. There's a certain type of person who moves through life scanning for opportunities. Not opportunities to grow, but opportunities to exploit. To them, people are resources, a source of free emotional labor, a steady supply of favors, a connection to be tapped when convenient, or simply a presence to soak up when they need peace but don't want to give anything back. They never rush in with obvious demands. No, they're smarter than that. They test boundaries slowly, dipping a cautious toe into the water to see how warm it is, how much they can take before they're met with resistance. But with you, that game is over before it begins. You notice things they assume are invisible. The subtle pauses before request, the sudden bursts of charm that only appear when they want something, the shift in tone from warm and genuine to calculated and transactional. You don't just hear their words. You read the current underneath them. And the moment you detect manipulation, you don't give them the satisfaction of confrontation. You don't argue, defend, or justify your instincts. You simply remove yourself. No heated exchange. No grand announcement. Just gone. This vanishing act is what rattles them most. They came prepared with the usual tactics. guilt-laced comments, favors framed as helping a friend, or the sly reversal where you end up feeling like the one who owes them. But you never let the first hook sink in. You're not keeping an emotional ledger, waiting to balance the books. You give freely when the connection is genuine, but the moment it turns into a one-way street, you take the nearest exit without hesitation. Why this gets under their skin? They never even had the chance to run their game. Your quiet departure is its own kind of exposure. It tells them, without words, that you saw through them from the start. You left before they could take what they came for, and now they're left standing there with their hands empty and their ego bruised. People like this don't hate you because you were rude. They hate you because you didn't take the bait. They hate you because you weren't fooled. And nothing enrages a manipulator more than realizing their tricks were transparent to you all along. 4. You're too calm for their chaos. Some people survive and even thrive on chaos. They feed on arguments, stir up gossip, and fan the flames of petty competition, all to give themselves a sense of control or importance. Without drama, they feel invisible. So when they set their sights on you, they expect a reaction. They expect you to step into their storm and get swept up in it. But instead, they run headfirst into something they weren't prepared for, your unshakable calm. You don't take the bait. You don't yell back to match their volume. You don't over-explain in hopes of clearing your name. You don't even dignify every jab or dig with a response. You simply remain composed, grounded, and untouchable. And that's far more disarming than any counterattack. Example: someone tosses a passive-aggressive remark across the table. Most people might bristle, snap back, or rush to smooth things over. But you look at them, say a simple, "Okay," and carry on as if they hadn't just tried to provoke you. The conversation moves forward, but in their mind, they've already lost. Their attempt at creating tension fizzled before it even caught flame. Or perhaps someone tries to publicly embarrass you, hoping to make you stumble in front of an audience. Instead of rising to meet their aggression, you keep your voice steady, your expression calm, maybe even with a faint trace of amusement. Without realizing it, they've shifted the spotlight back onto themselves. And now, everyone watching sees their performance for what it is: loud, desperate, and unstable. Your calm isn't just the absence of reaction, it's a mirror. It reflects their chaos back to them in perfect clarity, showing them exactly how irrational they appear. And for those who rely on drama to feel alive, that reflection is unbearable. They can't stand to see their storm met with stillness, because stillness reveals the truth. The chaos was never about you. It was always about them. 5. You don't flinch when they withdraw approval. For most people, the withdrawal of approval feels like an emergency. A friend suddenly stops texting. A social circle begins to exclude them. A co-worker replaces warm conversation with cold silences and half-hearted smiles. These small acts of social distance can send the average person into a spiral of overthinking, replaying interactions in their mind, wondering what they did wrong, and adjusting their behavior in an almost desperate attempt to regain acceptance. But you don't play that game. You've learned to walk through silence without shrinking, to exist without needing constant reassurance that you belong. When someone tries to dangle approval over your head like a reward to be earned, you simply carry on as though nothing has changed, because for you, nothing has. And that's when the cracks in their strategy begin to show. When people realize that their withdrawal doesn't pull you off balance, it bruises their ego in ways they can't hide. The friend who stopped calling expects you to chase, but instead, they find themselves checking your social media, watching your life move forward without them. The co-worker who gave you the cold shoulder catches themselves mentioning you in casual conversations, as if to remind others they still know you. The group that excluded you, hoping to test your neediness, now finds you unbothered, your peace fully intact. Your silence isn't spite. It isn't a ploy to punish. It's clarity. It's the simple refusal to play along with someone else's ego games. And this is what unsettles them most. It reveals that whatever hold they thought they had over you was never real power to begin with. 6. You expose fake confidence without saying a word. There's a kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't arrive with noise or spectacle. It simply exists, steady, unshakable, and undeniable. You carry that kind of confidence. And the truth is, People feel it even if you haven't said a single word. This creates an unspoken tension when you're around those whose confidence is more performance than reality. Picture this. Someone is speaking loudly in a group, recounting exaggerated successes, dropping names, and subtly twisting details to inflate their achievements. The crowd plays along, nodding, offering small gasps of admiration. It's a well-rehearsed performance, one they probably perfected over years of seeking validation. And then there's you, calm, observant, completely unmoved. You don't interrupt. You don't roll your eyes. You simply listen, your presence unshaken. And without meaning to, you've just drawn a line between two worlds, real strength, which speaks softly because it has nothing to prove, and performance, which needs applause to survive. Your quiet composure is like a mirror, reflecting the truth back at them. It reveals without a single word that their confidence relies on the crowd's reaction, while yours is rooted in something internal, something they can't touch. And for those who live for external validation, seeing that difference stings. Final truth, why they really resent you. Their resentment has nothing to do with you being rude, arrogant, or trying to act superior. In reality, it's the exact opposite. You move through the world without following the invisible social script most people cling to, and that alone is enough to unsettle them. Because when they look at you, they're reminded of things they'd rather forget, the authenticity they once had, but gave up to fit in, the little lies they tell themselves to feel secure in a world built on appearances, the freedom they surrendered in exchange for the approval of others. Your existence challenges those compromises without you saying a word. And that's why, if they quietly dislike you, it has nothing to do with you personally. It's simply their discomfort showing, discomfort that your very being has stirred awake. So you let them feel it. You let them stew in it, not out of cruelty, but because it's not your weight to carry. Your role is not to shrink yourself for the comfort of others. It's to remain grounded, sharp, and unapologetically yourself. Because in a world where most wear masks, your refusal to hide is rare. And rarity will always come with resistance. But that resistance, it's just proof that you're exactly who you're meant to be. Do these ideas resonate with you? If you found yourself nodding along or reflecting deeply on the traits and experiences we explored in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Sigma male mindset isn't often talked about openly, and your perspective, whether you identify with it personally or have encountered it in others, adds valuable depth to the conversation. Drop a comment below and let me know which part hit home the most for you. Have you seen these traits in yourself or someone you know? Your insights help build a community where authenticity and growth are prioritized over popularity and performance. If you're drawn to this kind of introspective, no-nonsense content around Sigma males, psychological strength, emotional intelligence, and high-value living, there's more waiting for you. Explore the other videos on this channel for deeper dives, actionable insights, and raw truths that cut through the noise. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay unapologetically real. Until next time.